What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Go Black to Africa. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all as I come at you from Tunisia, out here in North Africa. I hope that you all have enjoyed a couple of the videos that I've been putting up here, educational videos, things for you to be able to unravel your mind with, those layers, rather, those ideals, ideologies, those indoctrinations that we have fallen into, that sometimes I want to go ahead and bring education to unravel, because we are stuck in the countries that sometimes we are in, that we only get enough information that they feed us that we believe is to be true. So I hunt, I search, I interview, I travel in order to debunk, to tear down, to be able to push back those stories, his story that keeps us in bondage. That's right, family. We have to get to a place sometimes to appreciate the work that many of us are doing to bring an education so that we can re-educate our children, because we're still stuck into systems that our kids are going to, these schools, these universities, these colleges, that has us believing in a lot of lies, whether it's through their story, geography, whether it is religion, whether it is just oh my goodness, I got so much on my mind that I really want to share, but y'all get the point. Somebody here, the first, who is this? AA Empress says, to be honest, we don't need him to tell us, but I understand that some of us don't believe till we hear the truth. To hear the truth from them, sadly. Of course, I've said this before. I don't need any European, any Chinaman, any other race of people to really get me to understand what's going on when they talk about the injustice that's happening against Black people, when they talk about some of their own cultures or races that are against Black people, Africans and African Americans. But some of us will not believe until they hear it from their mouth. It's just how it is. Somebody sent me this article of South Africa that just happened 6 days ago. I'm gonna share my screen with you, but I think it's at a very appropriate time for me to show this, I guess, because many of y'all know, who's been following me, when I visited South Africa, I could not stand it. I didn't like it. I said it before. South Africa is probably 10 times worse than America. 5% of the European population there in South Africa owns 70% of the land. The other 30% is owned by the government. The Europeans there still owns the land. And most South Africa, South Africans don't believe the fact that this apartheid still exists. So somebody sent me this article, and I said, "Oh, how convenient!" Because I interviewed, or the guy didn't even know I was recording them. You know, he's a European, and I met him over in, I think, Zimbabwe, and he was just sharing about his experience in South Africa and the so-called white agenda and the devastation that they do around the world. And the thing about it is that, you know, when white people, and I get it. White people can talk amongst themselves of the effed up things they did to the world in colonizing it. And they know the messed up stuff they do, even in America. But they only have those conversations amongst their own. When I was in South Africa, I was listening to this white guy talk to his father. I didn't know it was his father at the time until I walked up to him and asked, could I go ahead and join in their conversation? Because the son was sharing about the what he found, how the white people did in Canada. His son lived in Canada, and the horrific things they've done to the natives that were there. And the dad was in awe. And I wanted to add on to the conversation because there's a lot of things that the young man who was sharing with his father Um, I wanted to share, even go deeper, but they told me that they was about to leave. They want to eat. They want to eat, and then they want to get on. And they didn't want to have the conversation with me because white people don't want to have the conversation to show how jacked up they either themselves or their ancestors have done around this world. They rather keep it amongst themselves, which I say that many of them sit quiet. But you're going to hear it from this talk I had with this European that I met over in Zimbabwe, and he's from Europe or whatever. But you can't get them to say this publicly. Very few will say it publicly. And when I find it, those who say it publicly, I put it on the channel because hopefully white people will stand up and say, you know what? We have to fix this whole thing that we messed up. And many of us don't believe it until we hear it, and then still won't even believe. But peace and blessings, y'all coming. I see as y'all coming in, we got 341 people out here. I appreciate y'all coming in here. I hope that y'all appreciate the work that I'm putting in here, because my thing is that it's all about education, y'all. I'm 56 years old. I left America. I got tired of America. Don't want to go back to America. I know I have to. I got children there and have some events that's going to be happening. But and I say that all with respect to the people who don't even have the opportunity to leave. I'm trying to open up the eyes of many people who are still blind. But we are hearing so many people now, brothers, like whether you want to say Kanye, who you get to see how a billionaire can be taken down because he speaks his mind, or Kyrie Irving, or so many people, and you even know yourself. But when you hear this white guy talk that I recorded, you're gonna be amazed. But I want to go ahead and share the article first and foremost, because I have ridiculed South Africa. Because there are Black Americans who's moved there and still moving there, and to each his own. I mean, there are people who you can move wherever you want to. There are people who can deal with racism differently than I can. There are those who don't even care about it. There are those who never have been affected, they say, about it. I'm trying to tell Black folks, South Africa is the worst place that you could go to in Africa. I've been to 26 countries, and it's the worst. Now, if you want to walk around with a blind eye, and you want to, or it doesn't hurt you, or you don't care, I understand. But I have many people who tell me, where should I go? Is South Africa okay? And I'm like, look, for me, from what I see in the effects of how the South Africans are, they're not even second-class citizens. They're like the fifth-class citizen. Why would you want to leave? I mean, America, you're third or fourth-class citizen in America. Black people, they don't even realize that. Black people don't even realize that the Asians taking over. Asians have taken the spot where it used to be white, black. No, it ain't white, black no more, or black, white, or whatever which way you want to say it. It's white. It's Asian. It's Mexican, then it's natives, then it's Black. It's the same way in Africa. I mean, same thing in South Africa. It's the same thing. And many of y'all, I'm just going to say it and keep it real. I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but if you really open your eyes up and see how disadvantaged you are, you would make moves and say, man, hold up. What the hell am I here for? I was on somebody's channel today, and they was talking about the injustices of America. And I'm like, we could sit here and tell our daughters to get out of an abusive relationship. We will tell our children, don't get yourself caught up into these negative circles. But then we fight and try to kick down the doors of white America, wanting to be treated equal. We want to be brought down to their level and be treated equal, which is the most hideous argument that I've ever heard. If you really think about what you're saying, that you want to be treated equal as somebody who, I'm talking about as a scale, I ain't talking about each individual, but as a whole, you want to be treated like those who don't have moral values, a ethical ethical compass. You want to be treated just like how they treat themselves? Gender bending, confusion with your children to think if they're a boy, if she's a girl, or a girl, if he's a boy. You want to be treated equal? This is exactly how South Africa is. Because it's controlled by Europeans. Oh, you South Africans, yeah, y'all have a parliament that you have black people in the government. Majority of them are black, but you don't have the power. Just like in Africa, just like America, black people ain't got no power. At least I got power in a lot of these African countries where I go to as a foreigner. Yeah. See, I can pimp America's benefit of having a passport and treat it like a king. The red carpet is rolled out for you. People are dying to try to connect with you and give you ultimate respect as a black man or woman. This is true. Even Tunisia, the Berbers that they call themselves, or Arabs, or the Muslims here, when you say you're from America, oh, you're from America. Ah, so nice to have you. Friendly, very friendly. Because most of the countries want to be like America. You like a movie star, and some of these guys, I mean, people want to just rub up to you. I don't like that attention like that. But I'm saying is that yes, and it could be a problem when you have people who want to rub up against you because you're from America. And you don't even know who your true friends or associates are, because you're thinking that you might think that they like you just because of that. Some people want to rub because they think you got money. The other people want to rub up against you for status. But we're going to get into this right here. Let's read this article right here. I want to share this. Let me share my screen. I want you right here. This happened 6 days ago. And I want to prove a point, because if you go back into my YouTube channel, my homepage, click up South Africa and see the interviews that I've did on the talking to the South Africans, how it is in South Africa. I talked to educators. I talked to normal 9-to-5 people. I talked to people who was in business owners, and a lot of them just didn't want to be live, but yet will tell you what's going on in South Africa. But look at this right here. Let me share my screen. Let me make sure that think that's that one. Yeah. Okay. Let me share my screen here. I'll read this article. You can take a look at this article right here. Because South Africans are blinded. They will defend. They will defend their goals. My country, you're hurting me. I get it, because there's some sense of loyalty and thinking, yeah, it's your country, but it ain't your country. It's their country. And this is what I'll be trying to get people to see in America. Our ancestors, that mean they died and we fought for this country, and we're going to stand here and fight till we get it. I get it. I support you in that. But when you turn 40 and 50 years old, you're going to do the same thing. And then your children's going to be right behind you when you realize you're not getting anywhere. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, I wasted all this time. I could have been a freaking millionaire or billionaire somewhere else, or I could have at least achieved my goals to the fullest without me worrying about somebody judging my skin color. I missed that promotion. Did I miss it because of my skin color? I got fired. Did I get fired because of my skin color? I didn't get in that college. I didn't get that opportunity. I didn't get that business deal. I didn't get that contract. I did, all the while wondering, did you get it? When I keep showing, here's the sorriest thing that pisses me off. People want to watch drama videos, but when I put up stuff like the VA has discriminated against the Black veterans, very few people want to even watch that video. Oh, they got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with you. This is the sad part, how black people are so complacent in America. I'm not trying to beat you up, but you got to be able to grade your own report card. You got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and assess yourself and really look at what's around you and stop looking at yourself. That is a very selfish way because you're ignoring your children's future. You're ignoring your own. I keep saying, freedom is worth more than $1 billion. Well, you got $1 billion. What does it mean? This is what Ye, the respect he wants to be called Ye. This is what he realized. He don't care no more that he lost it. It's about now he has freedom. Freedom is the number one thing people want around the globe. You know how many people are enslaved in this world? Not just physically, mentally, and spiritually enslaved. Come on, go black man. Get to the article, man. We don't want to hear all that, man. Well, you know what? You need to hear it. I'm 56 years old. I'm trying to teach some folks some stuff that many people really want to enjoy hearing this stuff because it's waking them up. Put the power back into your freaking hands. Stop banging on doors. Give me, please, reparations. We deserve it. No, do for yourself. I had to do for myself in America, and I kicked America in the ass. Yes, I rode that damn horse, damn America, or damn Erica, put the D in front of America, capitalize the E, damn Erica. Potholes in my past, obstacles was in my past. They tried to hold me back. They held me back, but I kept fighting, and I got to a place that I was like, I achieved many of my goals, but God daggone, it could have took me freaking 20 years less time to do it if it wasn't about a lot of things that were going on and how the system is. But then I come to Africa and I just be like, I'll buy that right there. Boom. Yeah, I'm gonna start that business right there. Bam. Okay. Can I go? Yeah, these are the laws. This is how it applies, and this is what you can do. These are the liberties you'll have with it, because you're gonna make sure nobody gonna try to take advantage of you and stuff like that. But you gotta, so you do your homework, you do your due diligence, and it's like, wow, God dog, man. This is amazing. Let's get to the article. All right, here. Let me make sure. Let me turn this on so I can make sure that I'm seeing what y'all seeing. Let me put my phone on here. Let's see here. Let me turn on the audio. Yeah, family. I mean, let's wake up here, because you know what? I want each and every one of us to reach our highest potential. Why not? You only got one life to live. And if you're not going to exercise God's power in you, and you think that you got to be stuck in one freaking country because you got a legion to go, I'm an American citizen and they're going to treat me with respect. Well, guess what? Continue on, keep on. And you're going to keep watching everything around you wither away. Okay. All right. Let's read this article right here, family. Let's see here. Where am I? There we go. Let me see here. Make sure that comes up. Okay. All righty here. Let me try to bring that up some. Okay. This right here, as you can see, this article right here is 6 December 2022. Bar bans black people from entering without a white escort, sparking fury in South Africa. We want to know, really, what fury did it spark? They ain't going to change a god doggone thing. Let's read this article right here. A Cape Town pub drew a rebuke from the South African government and widespread condemnation on Tuesday after it allegedly barred a black man from entering without a white escort. The government urged police to probe with speed the appalling and racist incident, which is said saw 25-year-old Tabiso Danka denied entry at Hank's Old Irish Pub in Cape Town. It is horrifying. This is quote. It is horrifying and outrageous that the tendencies of apartheid South Africa keeps rearing its ugly head. Yeah, and this what? Apartheid ended in the 90 something, family. And guess what? It's going to continue. Just like we talking about America. Oh, we were freed in 1865 and things just haven't gotten any better. And here we're 2022, and I just did an article of them just finding out that the VA was denying black soldiers their benefits all because of their race in 2022. But let's keep it going. Rudis Head, Ugly Head, cabinet spokesperson Fumla Williams said in a statement, South Africa remains deeply divided along racial lines almost 3 decades after Nelson Mandela came to power, vowing national reconciliation following the end of white minority apartheid rule. Y'all think that Mandela was anything significant for a people? He was just a puppet. Even the locals say that. Here's a white guy right here. He was standing up to the manager of this pub because he had a South African he had an African friend that they was coming in there to, I guess, to chill out in the bar or whatever, and they denied his friend. Now, this says a South African bar has allegedly banned people from entering without white escort, causing outrage. Tobias Danka, 25, was allegedly denied entry into the Irish pub. The incident happened last week and it emerged after a video went viral online showing a friend of Danka, Christopher Logan, who is white, confronting what appears to be the pub manager. In it, Logan says Danka tried to enter the pub shortly after his friend during a night out in the touristic city, but was blocked by a bouncer who told him black patrons were admitted only if accompanied by a white person. Quote, you don't have the right to discriminate in this country. It's a crime, Logan is heard saying. Mr. Logan said, you don't have the right to discriminate in this country. Oh, let's repeat. This is the guy right here. I assume that is Logan, who is defending his black African friend. Speaking to the Cape Times, Mr. Danka said of the incident, I only stayed inside the place for 5 minutes or less, then left because it didn't feel right to be there in a place I'm not wanted in. I was still in shock and felt humiliated because I was barred from entering the place in front of a crowd. My concern is that many more people could experience this or have already, but are scared to speak up, he said. A man who declined to give his name answered the Hank Old Irish pub telephone today, said he had no comment as he waited to speak to his lawyer. This is the video right here. It's kind of blurred of them walking out of the bar from the camera that was there. The pub was closed today with a note on the door described the accusations unfounded and unproven. This is what the note said. They closed down. See, that note should have said, this bar is no longer open until after further investigation. But those freaking South Africans aren't going to do anything. They're 95% of the population, but 5% of the white population controls. And for those who love Cape Town, when I get sick and tired of hearing people tell me, oh, Cape Town is beautiful. Get your black tail off of your daggone beach that you go to and out of the little tourist areas and go talk to the black folk who live in the hoods there in Cape Town. The white folks takes the beachfront property. They got all of the Airbnbs and the hotels, and you go up there and these people are living in mud huts in the city of Cape Town. And you got some of these people who wants to do these tours in these places and keep you just in these tourist areas, but don't want you to go to where the brothers and sisters are living in mud huts. It was disgusting to be there in Cape Town. I'm going hard today, y'all, because we need to wake up. Because this happens in America, and we sit here. I watch some of these channels, and I'm like, you know what? We just sit here. We keep showing. Oh, Karen fusses out black parents. Oh, yes, school prejudice. Oh, business. Oh, prejudice against black people. Oh, the story after story after story. And what do? We get numb to it. We get used to it, and we go on as life, and we get complacent. Oh, that's just a shame. Oh my, wow. In 2022, we would think we've moved forward and things have gotten better, but we haven't gone anywhere. Don't you say that? Let me continue on reading this right here. The pub was closed today with a note on the door describing the accusations as unfounded and unproven. It added that the owner and staff have received threats and were physically assaulted by the primary individual in the viral video. We as the owners, quote, we as the owners have never nor have ever instructed our staff to discriminate on any basis whatsoever, the note read. In a statement about the alleged incident, cabinet spokeswoman Fumla Williams said, "It is horrifying and outrageous that the tendencies of apartheid South Africa keeps rearing its ugly head. It comes as South Africa remains deeply divided along racial lines almost 3 decades after Nelson Mandela came to power, vowing national reconciliation following the end of white minority apartheid rule." Family, please go into my home YouTube channel page. Go into South Africa. I got it broken down to the countries I've been in. Click on there and go look at the interview I did with one of the gentlemen who wrote the Constitution of South Africa. I interviewed him and I hit him with some serious questions. And this guy here admitted their hands was tied to write this Constitution and they don't have the power. Police said 2 assault cases were registered at the weekend and the investigation was ongoing. Economic freedom fighters, a radical leftist party, called for picket outside the eatery. That's Julius Malema and his EFF crew. If y'all don't know who Julius Malema is, check him out. But that's his crew, saying that the incident was not an isolated one, but structural and endemic. Of course. Last month, a woman was arrested after a WhatsApp voice message circulated on social media, seemingly to call for Black people to be banned. All right, let me come back to you all right here, because, you know, I know some of the people probably saw that this is not true. And some of you all in America is like, oh, well, you know, isolated incident. Well, guess what? I got a recording from many months ago when I was in South Africa there, and then I was over in Zimbabwe interviewed. I had this recorder running. I didn't even tell the guys because he started talking about stuff that it was like white people won't talk about. So I recorded and you know, just to capture what he is saying in white people. Because until you and other white people hear this, white people are gonna be like, sure, that's true. It's true. White people need to start standing up for what's right. Y'all claim that y'all this love and Jesus and all God and everybody is, man, y'all, you know, white people, man, you know, be fake sometimes if they can't stand up and be honest that the horrific things that their folks have done over the years. But let me go ahead. I'm gonna share this recording right here that I did. And I want y'all to listen to this right here, okay? We're going to break this joker down, all right? I'm starting right here. We was in the conversation about South Africa. And then, you know, the conversation was more of Nelson Mandela. He was saying, you know, this white guy said Nelson Mandela was a puppet, you know, and, you know, the white people have this power over there. And you know, when he was there in South Africa, he's going to share some of the stuff that he saw himself and experienced, to include Cape Town's bar, which is very interesting. When somebody sent me this article, I said, I got a recording of a white guy telling me this experience that he had when he went into a bar because his girlfriend was African. So we went through that, and we was talking about that, and then we got into where we are right now, what I'm going to play. Here we go. Oops, hold 1 second. Let me put the volume up. Okay, here we go. I'll be looking into the chat to see what y'all talking about maybe, and if anybody has a question or somebody make a comment, I'm going to pause anyway so that I can share some stuff, you know, on that. But let's get into it.
It used to go so much further, you know?
Part of the thing about it isn't just, but my thing is this right here, is that y'all capitalize off of that.
Of course.
We just got finished talking about how South Africa, you know, he was talking about how the white elitists in them are really the ones who control, not really the average white person. And I'm like, please, y'all got businesses, y'all, white folks down in the South that got businesses and, the middle class and all them right there. And I'm like, even if it is the white elite, y'all benefit off of all that right there. And he said, of course. So let's go right here.
Of course, but the whole world capitalizes about everything.
No, what I'm saying as far as being in South Africa, the white people benefit and capitalize off of that. They have their wealth, they have their privileges, they have their benefits over the Africans. Yeah. You experienced it, I'm quite sure, while you were there.
Huh? Of course. You know what I saw in South Africa? You don't want to get racism? I went to a disco in Cape Town, and when I went inside, I was like, hey, give me a good reason. I was like, like tipsy, and I was like, hey, give me a good reason to come to your disco, because like everyone else is telling me to go into theirs. And you know what she said to me? We have the best DJ in town, and we have no blacks coming into here. And I'm like, okay, well, that's no reason for me to be here, because I'm here with my girlfriend. And then she walks in with a cigarette. She's like, okay, so we're gonna go party. I'm like, we're definitely not partying in here. Security comes to me. He's like, is there a problem here? I'm like, yeah, you got a fucking racist of a boss. And then we walked out.
Let me rewind that, because you just heard what he said. Cape Town. He was going to a disco, and the white woman says, we got the best. Why he was like, why can't you convince me why I need to come to your disco? And of course, I don't know. Can y'all hear that anyway? Let me know if y'all can hear it. But this is what he's saying. Why should I come to your disco? Everybody wants me to come to disco because we got the best DJs and we don't have no black people here. This is the disco he talking about in Cape Town in the article I just showed y'all. Can y'all hear? It's gonna get really, really disturbing. Okay, y'all can hear. Okay. This is going to get disturbing. Will you listen to this? Will you listen right here?
You don't want to get racism? I went to a disco in Cape Town, and when I went inside, I was like, hey, give me a good reason. I was like, like tipsy, and I was like, hey, give me a good reason to come to your disco, because like everyone else is telling me to go into theirs. And you know what she said to me? We have the best DJ in town, and we have no blacks coming into here. And I'm like, okay, well, that's no reason for me to be here, because I'm here with my girlfriend. And then she walks in with a cigarette. She's like, okay, so we're going to go party? I'm like, we're definitely not partying in here. Security comes to me. He's like, is there a problem here? I'm like, yeah, you got a fucking racist of a boss. And then we walked out. When you're driving in South Africa, the farmer's sitting in the front in his SUV, and the blacks are all sitting in the back. He's sitting alone in the front, yeah? And when you go to a butcher, three major examples. You go to a butcher in South Africa, and my friend was like, dude, I want wild meats, I want game meats, And he's like, well, we call it wild in German, So like he said, I want wild meat. And the guy was like, dude, we have no wild meat or game meat, we have no game meat, wild. And he's like, so like he didn't want to give up. He's like, yeah, but you don't have antelope or whatever. He's like, no, we have no wild. He's like, what about spring? He's like, no, I don't have. And he's like, listen to me, boy. The only wild meat I have here is my friend here. And he hits this African guy on the shoulder. And they're laughing, and everyone's laughing. And we're like, what?
And the African didn't say nothing.
He didn't say anything. Because he's been hearing that his whole life. Mm-hmm. It's so deep in their society.
So you've seen this time again when you're there.
I see it everywhere here, man. Where were you? Do you know that we have destroyed the white, say, be it our white church, be it the Catholic Church or like the missionaries and all these ways, and just think about it, man. I'm talking about 500 years. I'm not talking about 100 years, which is a long time.
Yeah.
Germany's like traumatized after the Second World War, but that's in 1945. This is like 2 generations. Yeah. I'm talking 500 years of colonialists telling people that they're worth less.
Yeah.
That they're second, second class.
Yeah.
500 years. You know what that means? that is so deep. I drive around. I talk with my, with white people. They drive around Africa. Like literally anything they do, like if the police comes and stops them, there's always like this white privilege. It's like, you're a white, it's okay. You won't do anything. You won't be criminal. You can pay us. It's just always like you get away with everything. It's crazy.
He was just saying there that even he talks to his other white friends and stuff, which is true. In Africa, that police officers, of course, they want to get paid. They always try to get paid from me too. It just doesn't apply to white folk. But you a foreigner, you can, he's saying being a white person, you can practically do anything, and you just pay them a little money and you just go about your business. And that is so true. So true.
Get away with everything.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, literally. I mean, I swear, I'm not saying it's like, I mean, I'm definitely not saying it's good, but it's just so deeply rooted. And then they come to religion, the religious effect, this whole like Jesus, Jesus, like, okay, so what does Jesus look like? Is he black? He's definitely white. Everyone will tell you that.
He's definitely white.
Yeah, they tell you like, these black churches, and they all have like this white, the church is black and have this white guy saying, but what does that do you psychologically?
Yes, it makes you
It's
inferior.
crazy. And so what does like white commercials, what does white, Mexican soap operas or like European movies, watching Leonardo DiCaprio kiss Kate Winslet, and all this, everything that's better comes from, what does that do to you?
Now he's already talking that some stuff that look, that psychological warfare that's planted against us. He's saying, yeah, these missionaries, these churches with the white Jesus and what it's doing to the Africans, the commercials, the movies that the black people, y'all too, in America, this is what it does. This right here causes you to behave in fashions that you don't even know how you're behaving. This is a white guy right here talking this stuff, that his observation of what he sees while he's in Africa or while he's in any other country for that matter. Back it up a little bit.
This white, the church is black and have this white guy saying, but what does that do you psychologically?
Yes, it makes you
inferior. And so what does like white commercials, what does white, Mexican soap operas or like European movies, watching Leonardo DiCaprio kiss Kate Winslet, and all this, everything that's better comes from, what does that do to you? And this is so deep, because we can't even imagine that. We can't even imagine that. What, and this is something, I mean, Hollywood is such a manipulative industry, and Hollywood's just one of those many, and they're all in white hands, man. I mean, like, I don't want to go into like conspiracy theories or anything, but like, I mean, let's just face it. Every major corporation in the world is in white hands, and they don't want to give up on their, on their money, and I'm not talking about Rockefellers or anything. I'm talking about like, just like the white elites, be it in banks or everything. Mm-hmm. And they're not gonna, I mean, they'd be stupid to give it up, to lose the privileges, of being able to pay taxes, live in luxury, have their children in the best schools and everything. Because everyone looks for their own tribe, everyone looks for their own people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your family is the most important to you, and then your first your family, and then your whatever, and then your race, and then everyone else, then your religion. The Jews look for themselves, man. I swear to God, if you go to Israel, I mean, everyone will be like telling you that they everyone is equal and blah blah blah. But when it really comes to it, yeah, it's just. And I'm telling you, man, we fucked up all. I mean, like, I'm talking about like culturally as well. That little bit of culture that we left them, that we've let Africans believe. After 500 years, yeah? Do you really think that Africans are still living the same culture that they had before we came? Just like African American, just like American Indians, American Indians. I mean, it's a joke what they do nowadays, like the image of like an American Indian, or like what they believe is their culture. I mean, I don't want to disrespect them. I'm sure it's good what they're doing, but like, it's like nothing compared to what it was really like back in the day. What they really believed. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, this is something like the Aborigines. I mean, it's so sad, but like if you go to like Aboriginal territories, they're fucking alcoholics, man. They're what? They're alcoholics, man. Oh yeah. Because we fuck them, man. And like, missionaries took families apart, just like in Canada, just like in Canada, we took families apart in Canada. The church took families apart, and fucking in 2022, the Pope is, with the pressure put on him and everything, is finally saying it's true and apologizing for it. I saw that. But video. Just imagine that, man. Like, what about the Aborigines fucking, apologize for that as well? Why isn't the British government apologizing for that as well, man? I mean, it just goes so far. Yeah, fuck. we have like destroyed so much, man, and it's so difficult. Well, it's impossible basically to get everything back because we've also.
This is a white guy saying how effed up his people are. We've screwed up so much. We've fucked everybody.
I'm apologizing for that as well, man. I mean, it just goes so far. We have like destroyed so much, man, and it's so difficult. Well, it's impossible basically to get everything back because we've also destroyed books, man. We've destroyed books on African culture, man. We've destroyed books on African languages, you know, and everything because we always wanted to be superior, and it was also in our interest, you know. There was an economic interest, you know. It's so crazy, man. I swear. And I'm not interested. And this is no conspiracy. This is fact.
I talk that on my channel. But the interesting thing that you say is you refer to we. You say we have destroyed. We have.
Yeah, we have.
We have.
Yeah, because. Yeah,
but when I share with you about South Africa, you say, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, because I can't do anything about it. I'm not religious, so I don't have anything to do with that church. I can't do anything. No, not about the church.
I'm talking about the racism.
No, yeah, okay, but I can't do anything about it. I'm saying we.
Oh, no, I didn't say. I said, how do you feel about that? You said I ain't got nothing to do with that. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, okay, you're true. Well, of course. I mean, you've just seen how I reacted. Of course, I feel disgusted by it. I mean, I told you when my experience in South Africa. We were disgusted by it. I mean, we literally walked out of the butcher. We're like, you know what? Keep your crying, leave your fucker. You know. And it was always like, I mean, of course we're discussing about it, but we can't change it. I mean, like, he's just gonna think we're a whole bunch of like whatever hippies, you know? Yeah. I mean, we're not gonna change it because he's gonna be those people's boss, you know. And even if those African Americans take over that butcher, they're not gonna get the same meat because it's in the hands in the guy who brings them the meat, you know.
I believe
South African, it just goes on, man.
I believe that most white people believe the way you believe, but they're not saying anything. For instance, in America, blacks are so far behind, like you said. It's the same thing over there in America, just like you see over here in Africa, like you said.
Why? Because in African American communities or districts, you have a lot of worse, schooling system, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
when the people are like, look, we need reparations. We need money that we can go ahead and build education systems for our people. We need money so we can be able to, at least have a future for our children and maybe even build our own communities, just like the white town there in South Africa. And yet, white people remain quiet. They will not stand up and say, yo, we screwed this all up. Let's make it right. Like you're saying, I believe most white people have that sense in their head, but they remain quiet. But they will stand up for gay rights. They will stand up for. They will stand up for everything except for black people. And my thing is like, why is that?
Because the majority of homosexuals are going to be white. That's probably one thing. And the second thing is, I think if you look at it from a very, very deep, in the depth of it, we don't want to give up on it,
That is part of that conversation there. And I wanted to share that with you because it correlated or went along with the article of what just recently happened. And he was there in South Africa that he shared here on this audio about going into a disco and they would not let black people in. So that right there is a witness to that article of who I talked to. And you got to hear this whole thing of what white people really think. I have conversations with white people. Many people, I just don't show them on my videos of when I'm around, when I see white people, I want to get in their heads. They don't want to be recorded though. I'll be like, hey, what are you doing here in Africa? You like it here in Africa? Oh, we love it in Africa, this and that. For real, you do. What brings you here to Africa? See, they won't be on, hey, you wanna, I got a channel called Go Black to Africa. You wanna share why you come to Africa? They don't want to be on no channel. They don't want to share what they see because this is paradise for them. This is paradise when they can come and the cost of living is cheap. They got the beautiful beaches, they got the mountains, they got the safaris, they got the hiking, they got everything, the snorkeling, they got everything in Africa that most white people like to do outdoors. And when it gets wintertime over in Europe, this is where they come. And they know it. They exactly what this man was talking about, how they screwed up the world and how they dominate and how they don't want to lose their wealth and how they want control and the prejudice that they's being said behind the scenes. They will not have that conversation when you are around. They're not. But see, then when I put it out here for y'all to hear that, see, I hope some will be like, you know what? That's the same state America's in. What is the channel? Indisputable, whatever with the doc, whatever his name is. What's the name of that channel? That's the whole channel, basically. I mean, that's the Young Turks channel. I mean, he's the actual anchor, if you will, speaking on the journalist side of the house. But that's all basically 90% of the information they put up. It's about how prejudiced America is, how the Karens and the Kens behave, and what all of this injustice is doing. Somebody said here, right here, was like, all this talk about this right here, what's the solution? Y'all know my solution is naming my channel. Now, people think because even though he talked about Africa and how some of these countries, not all the countries, but even though Europe has a hand in a lot of these countries, even though they have their hands in all countries. If you don't believe it, I mean, no matter, you just can't escape it. The Western worlds, the powers that have the money and the control when it comes to the IMFs and it comes to the World Banks, these when you talk about the world majority of these economies is built off the US dollar. That tells you who got the control. Somebody said, why come Africa? Why come to Africa if racism is everywhere? Because it's a different, look, not South Africa. I told y'all, I don't feel South Africa. It's worse than America. Listen what I'm saying. There are, when you talk about racism, yes, racism is everywhere. But there's one thing when you talk about when you live in a country of majority of the African countries, right? Not all of them, but but the majority of the African countries, right? Your skin color is not considered. You, like I've said before, you are no longer considered black when you come to Africa. Black, what you need to say black for? And then people talk about, well, China man is taking over, or the white men, they're there. Of course, they're here at small numbers. And yeah, some Africa's waking up, y'all. I keep telling y'all, Africa only got its independence for most of the countries 50 to 60 years ago. That's it. It's still in its infant stages. Can you imagine that you take over a country that was colonized and everything that was left to you? They tore down all the daggone manufacturing buildings. They took, destroyed and demolished anything that they could not take with them and then left for you to handle. How do you do that if you never ever controlled having a government and then they put democracy in your hands and you got hundreds of daggone different tribes or cultures of people? How do you work that? See, they still trying to iron that all out. When you were signing a deal to have your independence, but yet in the small writings, you know what I'm saying, or the earmarks or what have you, they still making your money. But Africa's now realizing, say, hold up. We're gonna stop. We don't need you to make our money. We don't need for you to manufacture our cocoa. Look, what we can do see, this is right now eyes opening up because ignorance might take years to understand. But back to answering the young lady's question was that if racism is everywhere, look, this right here has nothing, this right here is not looked upon here in Africa, in majority of African countries as being, prejudice or bias against. Not at all. And I've said before, I'm buying I got property here, business here, and still buying. And my thing is this right here. Anybody can do it. Can you do it in America? Of course you can do it in America. But see, here's the thing. You are so complacent like a Kanye or a Kyrie who makes millions and billions. And then you still so blind that you don't realize I got a freaking enough money to not even answer to these fools. Screw all of you all. I ain't apologizing for nothing. And I'm going to create my own. This is the indoctrination that happens when you're living in these Western worlds. I talk to people all the time. People are afraid to leave. Why? Because the education system has taught you to only be a worker bee, not entrepreneurship. You come to Africa, the majority of the people are entrepreneurs. Debt. No. See, in America, you think you got it good because you got a house and a car. You ain't got it paid for. You know how many people I ask, do you own a house? And most people, yeah. I said, hold on. You got a mortgage on it? Well, yeah, I do. You don't own that house. What are you talking about? See, this is the sickness we have. You think you own your house when the bank owns it, and you paying a mortgage, and you will never pay it off because they've already said that the average time for a person to live in a house is 7 to 9 years, and they'll turn around and buy another one. Why? Because they got you thinking you got to live like the Joneses, and you want to get the new Chris house and go to the next neighborhood, and you want to get the newer house, and you want to see. And it starts from the low man too. The poor man wants to get the house that costs $100,000, then he wants to move into the house that's $150,000 because he wants to feel like he's climbing a ladder. But you stay in debt. And as soon as you get close to even paying your car off, you turn around and get another car loan. And after it's all said and done, you have nothing to show to leave any inheritance for your kids. And you made your kids start from scratch, working for somebody to go through the same cycle, and yet you never got nowhere. Well, if that's what you want to do, who am I? But my channel is to educate the people and tell people, look right here, get the hell out and go somewhere else. It ain't gotta be Africa. Believe me, I've been to other countries, me and my wife, looking at buying property there in South America, buying property in Mexico, wherever it is that I can be allowed by their law to come in and purchase property, I'm gonna do so. Why? America. For many of y'all like, oh, I love America, it's the greatest country. Fool, you ain't never even left out of America for you even make a statement like that. You go to some of these countries, I mean, you're going to really see how good you really got it. How good do you got it? That you got a job? You got a house and a car that's not paid for? The clothes you wear is from a credit card that you pay monthly on? You'll be working till you got 2 feet in your grave, and yet you're going to leave your children dead. That's what you're going to do. The average person I'm talking about. 99% of the people, that's what they do. And then you're going to be putting up GoFundMes to even bury your daggone broke tail. And the little you got, your family's going to fight over and try to take it. Oh, America's gotten way better. America's gotten way better. Please tell me how. I mean, we got jobs and we got houses and no. We had that before there was integration. We had businesses, houses, cars. We had that. So please tell me, how's it gotten better? When you got these channels out here showing every day something else done against the black man. Through the judicial system, the education system. I just did a video of the VA system, of all the people that been trying, the veterans who fought for the freedoms of America, that they have such a racist, racist policy of a way of doing things that many of y'all who work for these institutions and industries don't even realize your hands in the pot of the racism. Yeah. when they got prerequisites for applications, you know, when it comes time for interviews, when it comes time for housings, when it comes time for getting into schools, these things that have already been laid out that you probably on boards or partake in are following a perpetual racist system that keeps certain people out. It's the system. They don't have that in Africa. I'm telling you, they don't have that in Africa. You see, there's a thing called covert. What is it? Covert and invert and all these other verts. But when it comes to a lot of these Western countries, they try to hide it, but it always roots its head, as the article said. Here goes the apartheid rooting its ugly head. Of course, anytime you have people who don't look like you, there will be those bias and prejudice. Hey, black folks be prejudiced against each other in some form of fashion too, but not because of the necessarily skin color. Some people might be like, oh, look how black you are, and you're black, and or you're light, or you're this or that. But I'm saying, for the most part, when you're in communities that don't look like you, there's typically going to be those people who feel as though that you are getting ahead of them. But you got to hear, for those who's come in, please rewind and listen to the audio of a white guy who is sharing that how messed up and screwed up they have done and the control that they have through religion, through the systems they put in place. It's live and well. And many of us are blind and don't even realize it. We only equate a life freedom to a job that we have and make money. We equate, oh, it's okay when you see one person that's of color that goes and be put in a position, you say, oh, we have overcome. Oh. But when you see the people, and I did a video on each black person that you see in high position that is typically in the government or what have you, have a white person connection. Obama's mother was white. Clarence Thomas, the justice of the Supreme Court, wife is white. What's her name? They just got and just put on the justice system. Her husband is white. When you start to see these people who they want to put in front of you as though that now there's not prejudice going on, there must be a white attachment. And they will put these people who have platforms on the sports arena, the Hollywoods, these people here, they will put in the forefront as though that they are the voice for black people who have white attachments. And yet, your silly mind, you up here talking about we've overcome, things have gotten better. Bull crap. Please tell me. The statistic shows that this is the further and away that black is getting away from whites in the wealth. The education lagging in, the business opportunity lagging in, the housing is lagging in. The prison systems is inundated with more black people than it is white people who commits more crimes. The numbers, the stats don't lie. So I wanted to share this with you all, family, just to give you all when somebody sent this to me, that I had this audio that I had a conversation with this white guy who basically was sharing, white people done fucked up a whole lot of stuff. And a lot of these daggone cultures, they'll never see that culture ever again from what has been taken from them. And the missionaries and their religions, they play a part in it. Yep. And also when you talk about the systems that are in place, these governments that these African countries have, it's still got hands of the white hands of Europe that is still in it. America's in it. Russia's in it. These countries are still part of it. So anyway, family, I'm out. I got to call my wife. Check out my 2 videos that I just put up there today. One was the when the Jews were going to take Uganda as their land of Israel. In the video, it says temporarily, but this is where, just goes to show that let them have that land up there in Israel. Let them have it, because look, Africa is too large and too beautiful and grand for me to want to really go up in a place that cannot offer what it has here. I mean, I was just in Israel this year. I had a good time with my family there in Dimona, but I sit here and say this right here, interesting place, but it has nothing here in the largest of the continent, Africa. Of course, they call it still Israel, the so-called northeast of Africa. Cannot compare to the beauty and the grandeur of what you have in this large continent. So check out that video that I put up there. And then I put up another video of, that video of Uganda, and also of a young African lady debating with this Arab guy or Muslim guy, whatever you want to call himself, how she stood her ground. And this is the youth of Africa. Africa now, I'm telling you, man, is that the youth are waking up, and they're educated, and they're defending, they're speaking out, they're in the conversations now. It wasn't that way 10 years ago. And now you're starting to see people really defending and taking pride of the continent of Africa, and realizing that, hey, if y'all can say y'all have a land, then we gonna say this is our land. Because she was debating against a couple of guys who was trying to claim that North Africa has always been the white Berbers or Arabs or whatever, which is far from the truth. And I'm gonna say this to my last breath. If the scientists and all of them and the historians and the archaeologists all have come to an agreement and says that the first man of humanity is an African, and life started in Africa, and the Africans migrated across the globe, that means they are indigenous to all those lands. I don't care if their skin turned white or whatever they want to claim. I don't care if it turned Chinese. That means we are the original and the first of all. So you can't tell me, well, we're the Jews. No. You can't tell me we're the children of Israel. No. Science has proven who is. So we don't need to even get into the debate because wars came and moved people out. This is why I believe that what they call that land of Israel that they created in 1948, and they stuck a people from Russia and Germany and the rest of Europe over in there because they were following the religion of Judaism. So they call themselves Jews because they wanted their own land, they claim, because they were being persecuted. They fighting left and right with the Palestinians. And nowhere in scripture can you find anywhere, and I've asked my brother, and I hope he gets back with me, nowhere scripturally that I know of that states that the children of Israel will go back to the land of milk and honey that was initially established. No, the scripture only talks about the new Jerusalem that shall come and the new heaven and earth. But that land that they were ran out shall lay dormant, waste, inhabitable. If that is the case, that means then they forged themselves into a place that was not at first. You see, they're known for changing up maps, names of cities and countries. Look at America. That wasn't America 400 years ago. You can create cities, you can create towns, you can create countries. They've done it time and time again. And we silly enough to believe, oh, Oh, so that's where it was. Oh, yeah, dig a hole in here. The tourists are going to come. Say Jesus was here. Oh, let's go see where Jesus was. Anyway, family, thank you for coming in. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for watching. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Peace and blessings to you all in your day and in your life of journey, your journey, in all of your endeavors. Do not let anyone or country dictate to you that you have to fight and ask for freedom or equal treatment. Do not knock on anybody's door to beg to be treated fairly. For one to do that is, like I said, is like a man who sits there and talks to his daughter and tells her, if a man ever puts his hands on you, or you're in a dysfunctional relationship, or if you're being abused, get yourself out of it. Well, if America's abusing Black people and it's a dysfunctional relationship, why are you fighting to stay in it? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. Peace out, family.